right, it was you and me.
Hello everyone, my name is Naima and welcome back to my channel, or two if you are new, and today we are doing my May wrap up. Today is currently June 1st and I am uploading this video in literally 2 hours and I don't know what I'm going to do. So my goal for this video is to do really minimal editing. I'm gonna really try to not edit a lot in this video because again, this video is going up super like literally in 2 hours. So anyways, in May I read a total of 11 books. That includes one DNF, which we will get into, and then 2 of the books I read them for a specific reading vlog that's coming out in June, so I'm not going to talk too much about those ones. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into all of the books that I read in May. So the very first book that I read in May was The Girls by Emma Cline, and I buddy read this with my good friend Emmy from Emmy's Reading. I'll have her link down below. She's amazing. We read this for like a 24-hour readathon, but I didn't end up uploading the video because I failed that miserably, but I did finish this lovely book. While reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is definitely like one of the best books that I've ever read. This is going on my favorites list, but honestly, I haven't thought about it too much since, and it was still really good when I read it, and for a few days I was thinking about it, but ever since then I haven't really thought about it. So this probably isn't going to be on my favorites list, but I still really enjoyed this. So if you don't know what The Girls is about, The Girls follows a cult. It is inspired by the Manson murders that took place, the Manson cult, Manson family, whatever. I learned about that in sociology class and I became like obsessed with cults. Like I love learning about cults and finding out how they operate and how people get sucked into it, and I just think it's so interesting. So I was really excited to read The Girls, and this book was so amazing. It was 5 stars. It was a little bit scary, but all in all it was just a really good like literary fiction book. This book follows Evie, and Evie is, I'm pretty sure she's really young in this book. She's like 14, and you kind of see in the beginning how her life has unfolded. Like she's losing her friends, she doesn't have a good relationship with her mom and dad, and her mom just starting a new boyfriend, and I really related to a lot of things that were going on in her life in the very beginning. And then you see her find acceptance within a group and people who actually care about her and want them with her, so she feels instant love and acceptance. And you really just see like events of this cult start. You see like how it turned into like a murderous instead of like a loving community, and how these girls will do anything for the leader of the cult, and I just think that's so interesting. So I really ended up enjoying this book. I gave it 5 stars. It was super fun. So yeah, if you haven't read this book and you're interested in cults, I really recommend this. It's like a loose retelling kind of the Manson family. Next book that I read in May was The Insiders by 𝓫𝓸𝓬𝓲𝓪. I actually read an arc of this and I was kind of late. I'm pretty sure I read this after the book had already come out. And The Insiders follows this girl, and she is a genius. Her whole entire life she's had like a perfect IQ, I think, and she has like a photographic memory, and she's just a genius. And so one night she's in her home and 2 guys break into her house and try to kidnap her. They try to, until a guy helps her and tells her that her father is actually Peter Francis and he is a billionaire. And Peter Francis has been someone that the main character has looked up to her whole entire life. So finding out that her dad is Peter Francis was just like such a mind f to her. So she has 2 options: either go live with her dad and his family, or she can go back home, but the 2 guys who came after her, they will come back. And so she kind of goes under like a witness protection program living at her father's house. The children don't know that that's their sibling, the father does, and she also is under the protection of one of her father's workers or like partners. That part was a little bit confusing. So in the beginning I thought this was kind of like a bodyguard romance. It's really not. It's kind of like, it's so hard to explain. It's like this guy and he's working for the dad, but also kind of not. Like the guy is above the dad, but the dad's also a billionaire. This one was super confusing and the world was just really crazy to understand. I ended up giving this one 4 stars, but now thinking about it, I think I'm going to rate it 3 stars, just because I still can't even get like it down on who's who and the events that transpired and who's this person to this person. So I was really intrigued by the story. It started off with a huge bang and I was really enjoying it, but then it just got a little bit twisty for me and I couldn't keep up. So yeah, I'm thinking about rating this one 3 stars. The next book that I read was Set by Alexandria House, and I was super excited to read another Alexandria House because I had only read one other book by her in the very beginning of 2021. And Set follows Set and Karima. Karima and Set went to high school together and they weren't in the same circles. Everybody around the high school kind of spread rumors about Set and his family and his brothers, so it made it really hard for him to develop friends. Everybody thought of him and his family as like bad news, they're trouble, this and this. So 20 years go by and it is the high school reunion, and these two meet up and they talk and they click, and a friends with benefits situation ends up unfolding, and it's really fun to see. In the book, it goes from like when they're first meeting up again to the present, and for years and years they've been kind of having this like friends with benefits relationship until they realize that they actually are in love with each other and they want more. And it was super sweet, super steamy, super short. This was a novella, so I'm pretty sure it was just over like 100 pages, something like that. So it was a lot of fun, and if you want a short and steamy novella, friends with benefits, turn to something more, you should really check out this book. The next book I read was The Devil Wears Black by 𝓵𝓤𝓬𝓲𝓪, and I really enjoyed this book. It was definitely different than 𝓵𝓤's normal stuff, but I ended up really enjoying it, which is super surprising to me because I didn't think I would. 𝓵𝓤 is often hit or miss for me, but more times hit than miss, so I'm very happy that I enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars, and The Devil Wears Black follows our hero and our heroine, and they used to be in a relationship. It's actually a second chance romance and a fake dating trope, which was super fun. So basically, our hero and our heroine used to be in a relationship and they were super happy until the hero cheated on the heroine, and after that they were kind of done with each other. They didn't really speak anymore until the hero shows up at the heroine's doorstep and is like, I need your help with something. And the heroine's name, Maddie, she's known as the martyr. She wants to help everyone. She can't say no to anyone. So like the martyr she wants to help her ex-boyfriend. It's not that exactly she wants to help her, she just feels like she kind of has to, so she does. And the hero reveals that he never told his family that they ended up breaking up. He needs her help and he needs her to fake date him in order to bring the family some joy and happiness, because the family really loved the heroine. Family needs this happiness because the father just revealed that he has cancer and he only has a few more months to live. So when she hears that, she's like, oh, now I have to help. And they go through this whole fake dating scheme. It's super fun. There is lots of drama in here, lots of it, because there also is another guy in the picture, low-key. You kind of already know that he doesn't really stand a chance, but seeing like the family like be suspicious, it's super fun and a wild ride. So if you enjoy fake dating, second chance romances, then you would really enjoy this book. The next book that I read was Only When It's Us by Chloe Leese, and this is the first book in the Bergman Brothers series. And I was really excited to read this because I wanted like a small town vibe, because I just had read the Hot and Hammered series and I really wanted to get into something similar. So I ended up giving this book 2 stars, I believe. Yes, 2 stars. And I was really enjoying it in the beginning. There is disability rep because the hero is deaf, so I was really enjoying that aspect of it. It starts off with a really cute moment, like a big bang, and I was really into it. But as the book progressed, I just realized that I wasn't super passionate about it, and I found myself not really caring about these characters. Our heroine is a soccer player for her college, and she's kind of like well known around campus and whatever, and she's used to special treatment from her teachers. Not special treatment, but just more of an understanding that, you know, like I have to play these super tough games, I have to go to all these practices, and they're usually really lenient with her whenever she has to miss class for like a game or practice or whatever. And so she has this teacher and he is completely not understanding, and he just doesn't really care to help her. And the book starts off with her asking for the class notes for the class that she missed, and he's like, no, you can go ask him over there. And so she's like thinking to herself like, oh, so you can't give them to me, but you can give them to this guy, like why? And so she ends up having to sit next to him, and she asks him for the notes, but he doesn't hear her because he's deaf. She automatically feels shut down, and she has a lot of like anxiety and other things that play, like she doesn't like to speak up, and she doesn't like confrontation. So once he kind of ignores her, she's kind of like, okay, I'm done, I tried, whatever. But she instantly has ill feelings towards him, again not knowing that he's deaf. And so to get teamed up for a project, and they have to work together, and they're really navigating their like relationships. Obviously the hero has lots of problems to work out himself, and being deaf, he hasn't ever felt really super comfortable with that, and he feels like he's missing out on things that he would have had if he had his hearing. And the heroine also has tons of stuff to work out as well. Her mom is sick in the hospital, and basically they're just like navigating this life together, and it's really good and super cute. It's kind of angsty in a way. I've never read about a character who hates confrontation, is super like against any problems, but then she's kind of like a major like takes no crap. So that was super fun. But by the end of it, I just didn't feel passionate about this group of characters at all. And I really was excited to get to the second or third book because I heard that that's like a fixing relationship type of trope, which I love. So I didn't make it that far. Maybe I'll pick up the other ones, but this one just wasn't really for me. The book that I read was Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors, and I really enjoyed this book. This is a Pride and Prejudice retelling. Honestly, never read Pride and Prejudice. I know a little bit of the story, and I guess from what I know, I guess it's like a good retelling. This one, I don't know if I would really consider this a romance. Yes, there is a happily ever after at the end, but there was little to no anything in this book about the relationship, really focused on the family drama, and it's really good. So basically we have our hero and our heroine. Our hero is a really good chef, he's like a top chef, whatever, and our heroine, she is a like world-renowned surgeon. She's super big in the surgeon community. She's a neurosurgeon, and she's really obsessed with like the eyes and helping people see, and ever since she was little, she just had a passion to help people see. She comes from a super wealthy, well-known Indian American family. Her brother is running for mayor. Her sisters are really big in their own respective fields. Her parents have all these connections, and they've just always been kind of on top, having parties all the time. And for one of the brothers' parties, they hire the mayor. They end up having a really rough meet. The hero thinks the heroine has lots of pride. That in return makes him have a lot of pride and prejudice against her. And it kind of goes just like back and forth with their pride and prejudice getting in the way. So that was super fun, but we really didn't see much of the relationship because there was a lot of family drama. I didn't even mind that though, because I was so invested in the family drama. Like, it had me hooked. I was really into it. But by the end, I was like, wow, I read little to nothing about this relationship, and I don't even care. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars. There was literally no smut in this at all. Maybe it's actually like a YA novel and I didn't know, but it was still super cute, and I was invested in the family drama, so I ended up giving this one 4 stars. The next book that I read was Temp Me by Nina West, and I really enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars, and I've heard about this book that it's compared to like 50 Shades of Grey, something along those lines. The heroine is from a super small town, and she has always had this boyfriend in her life until the boyfriend wants to split up. They are about to get married. They are in college and they're about to get married, but they've been together for so long. The girl wants a break from her to explore other things, to get it out of his system before they end up getting married. And the heroine is completely distraught. She hates that and she resents that. She wants something new. So for the summer, she applies to work at Wolf Hotels, and Wolf Hotels is this big like chain of hotels all across the world, and they actually just opened like a resort type of place in Alaska. So there's like snow activities, wood, super cabiny, homey feel, and so she applies to work there. When I read this, I kind of thought of the Disney college program for some reason, just because like you have a group of young people staying in these like cabins and working at the hotel. You could be like a gardener, you could be in the chef, you could be in the spa, you can be anything, the gardeners and stuff like that. So I thought that was super fun. She ends up going down there and she is assigned to be in housekeeping, and she's gonna spend her whole summer there. She ends up making friends super quick. She's from a super Christian family. They don't really let her go out and party and drink and have a lot of fun. So she is kind of taking this opportunity to explore more about herself and have fun. So she ends up getting super drunk one night with her roommates, and she decides to walk along the pier by herself and just like around the grounds, and she almost falls into the water until a guy saves her. He's wearing like flannel and has like a beard and a mustache, and he ends up saving her, and she just decides to pour her heart out to this man that she doesn't even know, telling about all of the relationship stuff. She doesn't know that she's actually spilling her guts to the boss, the owner of Wolf Hotels. And so she's talking about how she's like a virgin and how she hasn't had sex with anyone. She's like, how do I get over it? And he's like, you need to go sleep with someone else. And she's like, would you do it? And he's like, maybe. And so that's where it starts, and it's super cute. They keep running into each other, and the heroine actually ends up being his personal assistant. So this one was just super steamy. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. I'm not super inclined to pick up the next book because towards the end I was just kind of over it, but it was fun for what it was. And yeah, the next book that I read, people, was Wolf Song by T.J. Klune, and this is probably my favorite book of all time, definitely a favorite of 2021, and I am just completely obsessed with this story. This book lives on my mind so much. This book just means so much to me. It was everything. I couldn't even count how many times I cried while reading this book, but it is a favorite and I'm obsessed. So Wolf Song by T.J. Klune follows Ox, and Ox was always told when he was younger that he is dumb and that people are going to push him around, and he just wasn't really, he's kind of worthless. He was told all this by his father, and his father ended up walking out on him and his mom at a very young age. That led him to be kind of raised by the people that worked with his dad as Gordo. He owns like a body shop, fixes cars, and all of his workers, they all kind of raised Ox in a way, and I really love that aspect right away because it was like a found family trope. Yeah, he's just always been, you know, he was taken care of because he had them and he had his mom and he felt loved and appreciated, but he always kind of felt this emptiness within him. And so a family, they moved in across the street from Ox. I'm gonna cry, stop, please, reel it in. So a family moves across the street from Ox, and he's walking home from work one day and he sees a little boy, and this little boy comes up to him and he's like, do you smell that? And from that moment they become best friends. Ox is, I think, 16 or 17 at this point, and Joe is a little boy. He's super young at this point, but they just become super close and best friends. Joe takes him home to meet his family, and his family becomes like super interested in Ox. From that moment, Ox has joined Joe's family, and they all become super close. Joe's brothers become Ox's best friends, and the whole family loves him, and Joe and Ox are just best friends. And so it takes place from the age of like Ox being 17 to him being like maybe like in his early 30s or like late 20s. And so you see like Ox grow up, and I will say the romance is between Ox and Joe. Nothing happens between them until years and years and years and years later, where Ox is 18 years old. If I didn't say anything, this book is a werewolf romance. That was super fun, and basically there's like a threat, there's like an outside force that wants to harm Joe's family. It's just a lot. It's amazing. I can't explain this without going into spoilers, but if you have not read Wolf Song, you absolutely need to. I'm about to start Raven Song, and I'm just obsessed with this book and obsessed with this series. So read it, please. It is so amazing. I cried so many times. This book just means so much to me, and it's for sure like a favorite. So read it if you have not. The next book that I read in May was Normal People by Sally Rooney. I'm not going to go into detail about this book because I have a reading vlog coming out where I talk about this, so stay tuned for that. And then same goes for the Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I talked about this in a reading vlog, so stay tuned for that. And the last book that I read in May was The Fixer by Jessica Gadziella. Sadly, I ended up DNFing this at around 60%. Heather convinced me to read this book with her video on Jessica Gadziella. She did like a whole author guide, and I've been subscribed to Heather and friends with Heather for like a whole year and some change, and I've never read a Jessica Gadziella, and that is their favorite author, so I was kind of really excited, but I ended up DNFing this book at 60% because I don't know why. I just found myself not really caring about these characters. We were 60% into the book and still barely anything happened, and I was just kind of like, no, I don't think this book is for me. I might try another Jessica Gadziella. I was super intrigued by like the romantic suspense element. So The Fixer follows a fixer. Basically, in the town of 𝓫𝓸𝓬𝓲𝓪, there is a group of people who like fix people's problems. Whenever like influential people or people in general, they just like need help with something after doing something wrong, or they need help just like in general, they go to this group of fixers and they make all their problems go away basically. And so we have our heroine, and she comes to like this group of people for help. She has a stalker who's been stalking her for months, and it's kind of gone to an extreme, and she has a gut feeling one day that like tonight is the day that she is going to die or something really bad is going to happen to her. She goes everywhere around town. She gets a gun, she gets a dog, she goes and tries to get help from the fixer, and they basically say they don't really take stalker cases. So she goes home, gets all her stuff together, and just goes to bed, and she wakes up and the stalker is in her home. And so what happens is one of the receptionists who works for this group of people, she goes to the fixer and is like, hey, I really have like a bad feeling about this. I need you to go check on this girl. And he's like, okay, I've got it. And he goes to check on this girl, and he finds her in a complete mess. Basically, the stalker is dead in her room, and he decides to take her on because now it's not a stalker case, it is a murder case, and he needs to help her, and his whole company needs to help her. And so basically he's kind of helping her. There's another threat to her that surfaces, and he just feels this protectiveness over her that he needs to help her and get over this, because he knows that she's about to go through a wild ride with her emotions after killing this man. So it was really interesting, and I thought the premise was really cool. I just wasn't really into it, and I love romantic suspense, so I don't know what was up with me, but I just couldn't get into this. So I might pick it up again later this month because I do find myself thinking about it. So yeah, maybe I will pick it up again. So that was the last book that I read in May. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a big like and a comment down below, and subscribe so you never miss another upload from me. And I really want to know the books that you guys read in May. If you've read any 5-star books or books that could possibly be a favorite, let me know. I'd love to add them to my TBR. And yeah, for now, that is all. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on Friday with a recommendation video. Bye!
If I got one thing right, it was you and me.